Hello and welcome back to Pravus Gaming and more Plague Inc. Evolved. We are going to be resuming some custom scenarios today. Now I have a little confession. I haven't actually looked at any comments in the last week to see if anyone suggested anything. So, I'm just going to do whatever looks good to me. But be sure to leave some suggestions in the comments section of some of these scenarios that you've enjoyed so that I can resume those in the future. Of course, that will only happen if this list actually gets refreshed. There we go. Alright. So, starting at the top of the list. Done this. I'm actually debating doing this one again just as like a do-over, since people still get mad at me. I'm seeing some unpleasant comments about that. But anyway, Algium, A Demon Awakens, and the rest of these in the top we've done. The Mercer virus. Interesting. Entomutagen. Human hives. Huh. Well, let's start at the very top then, and let's go for Algium. This single-celled organism has realized it can infect animals. Wait, it realized it? Is it self-aware? Is this a sentient single-celled organism? Terrifying. Can infect animals to further grow and reproduce, and has started by infecting the human race, help it grow, develop, and mutate into something well beyond the imagination. 2 dots, not 3. Interesting. Alright, you know what, fine, let's give this one a shot. I mean, it's pretty highly rated. I'm wondering, no, I was actually kind of expecting this to be more of a fungus thing. See, I see Algium, and I think algae, you know? Like green, nasty algae. I was thinking, well, maybe this is going to be more related to the fungus than anything, but no, it appears to be a virus playstyle, which will be fine. Do we go with our standard build? I think so, because I don't know... What? Wait, what? We're going to go for normal. I just forgot for a second that they were going to give me the option as far as the game difficulty. Normal is fine. And you know what? Just because I thought it was algae, I'm going to call it pond scum. There we go. Pond scum it is. The algae? It is algae! I knew it was... Okay, well, I mean, I guess algae isn't exactly the same thing as a fungus, so it doesn't have to be the same thing. I just sort of put them in the same kind of category. Weird little moldy mutagen-y thingy, except this one's more aquatic-based. Whatever, fine. The algae have risen. Help it grow. We've already seen this description. Mutation. Select the country to mutate the first algae. These plants like humid environments and are more effective with large numbers of hosts. Sounds good. Let's start off in India, because India is pretty humid and has a large number of hosts available. So, let's go ahead and speed up and take a look at our transmission symptoms and abilities. Seems we have a fair bit of customization. Alright, starting at the bottom, Spontaneous Awakening 1. Mutates the algae in a random place to become part of the evolution. So, this will give me a random country? Is that correct? Sounds like it. Might actually be worth holding on to this. I'm just kind of curious what some of its other options are going to be. Alright, we see Flaking Walls. Cell walls become so thin that they begin to split apart, reducing the cell's severity but allowing it to be so movable that it can even travel through air. Sounds useful. Thin walls, just regular thin walls apparently. The cell wall becomes able to stretch out and catch current in blood veins and water streams. Okay. Amoebic movement. Cells are able to move by extending tendrils and dragging themselves along. That doesn't sound likely, but okay. This is a slow process, but it is better than nothing. Increases infectivity. Yeah, I mean, we're talking like microscopic little tendrils. I'm not expecting it to move more than like an inch every like 48 hours, but whatever. Chlorophyllc cells. The amount of chlorophyll in the cells increases, allowing them to exist outside hosts without need for their nutrients. Especially effective. Gosh, I almost said invective. I've been playing too much Destiny. Especially effective in rural environments. Good to know. And then lastly, host honing. Cells able to adapt and connect more with hosts. Increases infectivity in urban environments as well as mutation chance. Alright, so these are all pretty solid. I kind of like that there's good descriptions going along with each of these to kind of let you know what your advantages and disadvantages will be. Big fan of that. Alright, symptoms. We start off with only one option, multicellular. Cells gain the ability to morph together when in large groups to function as one body. Oh, you mean like those ants? You know, there's particular colonies of ants, they can all kind of get together and form like large bodies, and they seem to work really well together, and no, this is more not similar at all, really. Alright, we have transparency. What is with like the lack of images here? Thin walls, transparency. I mean, I guess it's ironic that this looks like a thin cellular wall, and this is transparent, you can't see anything, but whatever. The cells become more transparent throughout, making them harder to study. Okay, probably good for reducing cure progress. Protective cell wall, more resistant to hot and cold temperatures. Ooh, cool, resistances all in one, I like that. And then unstable strands, DNA of the cells becomes unstable and more likely to mutate on their own. Well, you guys know that I'm not usually a fan of mutation because I can't control it, so I'm probably not going to waste much time on that. But let's go ahead and generate up a few DNA points. We'll get started with some infection. I'm not sure what I want to go for. Probably... oh gosh, do we go for thin walls? Better in water streams? Well, let's see. India counts as neither rural or urban, so this is not a priority, nor is host honing. This I might save as like a clutch play if I need to get into Greenland unexpectedly. Infectivity, I think we're just going to go for the bloodstreams and water. That'll lead to elastic walls, able to reshape themselves, slightly increasing effectiveness in hot and cold environments. So, almost any environment. Alright, so it's like getting a resistance. Whoops. Gain increased understanding of nothing. Okay, well, scientists know nothing is basically what I'm getting out of that one. That's fun. Anyway, so yeah, that one's going to be like getting a resistance and infectivity in one, which is nice. In fact, let's go ahead and pick up elastic walls. Why not? It's pretty good. But then we should probably pick up flaking walls so that it will have access of moving by air, which of course is very good. Valve time slower than thought. Radioactive fluids with a half-life of 3 years to pass through valves, reasons unknown. Well, that is funny, isn't it? Half-life references stuff. Flaking walls will grab. That leads to morphic walls, making the cells better at traversing in both air and water, but I can't get it yet because I don't have enough points, or is it just, it's locked? Or something. What is that going to do for us, I wonder? Let's go ahead and pick up some symptoms, though. Multicellular will lead to complex congelations. Able to form more complex organisms gives me severity and infectivity, but not much else. Strands. Cells can string together to form strands that can travel further than single cells. Increases infectivity and is not very noticeable. I like that. Or blobs. Cells can congeal to form blobs that cause discomfort in the host. So really the question is, do you want to go for some severity so you get a lot more DNA from the red bubbles? You know what? Fine. Balls to the walls. Let's go for blobs. And that will lead to itchiness. The bulbs under the skin cause host mild itchiness. Scratching spreads cells, increasing infectivity, especially in urban environments. Not really relevant to us quite yet. Let's go for complex congelations. Holy crap, what is this symbol? Organisms. Cells now gain the ability to permanently form connections with other cells and morph into unique organisms. Are we creating life? It feels like we might be. It's very severe, though. Mishap. Cells now form random, misshapen congelations that have no real purpose. This uncertainty increases mutation chance and makes it more difficult to study cells. That's kind of cool. Planes. Flat sheets that are good at catching both air and water currents. Somewhat noticeable. Alright. Tubes. As a form of insulation, and cells in this form are somewhat resistant to the effects of temperature. Again, more resistance. That's kind of nice. Masses. Cells can distribute nutrients evenly amongst themselves. Increases effectiveness in humid and arid environments, but causes moderate irritation in host. Well, we might get more quickly noticed, but this is, really good. Masses that allow us to move in humid and arid environments. That applies to, everything around the equator. Everything around the equator. Yeah, what the heck? Let's go for masses. I'm just gonna go get masses. It's fine. Alright, as far as abilities, let's go ahead and grab a protective cell wall before everything gets a lot more expensive. Hello, that opens up some options. Do we want transparency? Not yet. Cold resistance wall 1. Heat resistance, or climate resistance wall. Retain water, making the cells in humid and arid countries. Again, with that. And that will lead to drug resistance. Interesting. Okay, let's go for the climate-resistant wall. That seems fine. Fine. We've only infected 40,000 people, but our infectivity is going to start skyrocketing now. Because we've just become extremely effective in India and abroad. The extra severity should mean that we'll get a little extra DNA points as we spread to new countries, which should be happening a lot now. Do we want to go for drug resistance? Not yet. We have not reached a country where that would be relevant to us. As far as our transmission... I bet you Spontaneous Awakening 1 will let me have other options, but... Let's go for amoebic movement. It's pretty unnoticeable. That will lead to longer tendrils, allowing them to move even faster. That's a pretty sizable amount of infectivity, which still seems silly to me, but... alright, fine. We've infected France, we're getting into America. I want to be in America. 30 points. We can get morphic walls. Better at traversing air and water sounds good to me. We can't get the next option. Longer tendrils is pretty decent. Chlorophyllc, especially in rural, or urban. Do we want urban or do we want rural? Or do we skip all of that? Do we just say, screw all of that, let's go for like drug resistance, or make it harder to study, or do we go for something like this? Do we go for the organisms? Screw it, we're gonna go for the organisms. Ooh, wow, okay, this did open up quite a few options. We have winged blobs. Now flap frantically and fly for a time, increases infectivity and is very noticeable. Yeah, I would expect little green blobby flying things to be kind of noticeable. Alright, fine. Walking creatures, cell amass to imitate their own structure, forming large tendrils that they use to walk. This makes them quite mobile, but also very noticeable. Or worm creatures. Cells can slither about in a manner that avoids detection but irritates the host greatly, harder to study in lab conditions. So this is the most severe of them all, but I'm okay with that because it reduces the likelihood that we'll get caught. Well, not caught, sorry. Yes, we'll get caught, but they won't be able to do much after they have caught us. India started working on the cure, so they did detect us. I must have missed that memo somewhere. You know what? Fine, let's go for the worm creatures. It'll be harder to study in lab conditions. Deceit. Greatly improve their ability to be difficult to study in lab conditions. I kind of like that. Planes, strands. Do we go for itchiness for urban environments? I don't know. Well, we'll see how we do. I don't think that's really necessary at this point. Let's just, let's actually grab some drug resistance. Yeah, we've gotten to the rich countries. Let's do that. And that, of course, leads to drug resistance wall 2, which we kind of expected to begin with. I'm going to grab transparency, so we are harder to study. We have DNA shuffle. The DNA of the cells rewrite to push back lab studies. Okay, so that's actually like the genetic reshuffle, even though it has the genetic hardening symbol. And then we have dilute cell density. Researching the cells is harder due to organelles, being more spread apart in the cell body. Okay, so this is genetic hardening and this is a genetic reshuffle. They've just switched the icons around to confuse you. It's devilishly tricky. You never expect it, man. I'm gonna go for some cold resistance, because even though we have gotten quite a few resistance things, I like to be able to spread through Scandinavia and such a little bit better. Do we go for planes? Do we go for tubes? Sure, we'll go for tubes. That makes us more effective, and of course we will be resisting temperature even better, and this leads to swift-moving masses. Harder to detect, and more resistant to temperature and environments, but cause greater discomfort in the host. They're letting you know every time you pick up some discomfort, or I'm sorry, severity via discomfort, which I'm okay with. I appreciate just how clear the author is being about the consequences of every action. We're gonna pick it up, and sure, let's go for deceit. That'll make us harder to study. I guess we should probably go for walking creatures next and see if this leads to anything awesome. It might not. We did spread to some islands. Good, I like that. What are we missing? New Zealand, New Guinea, Philippines, Greenland, Cuba. Okay, well, I think we can handle all of that. We should be able to spread very easily via water and a few other things. We have a lot of points to work with now. That extra severity is actually working quite nicely for me. I like it. All right, fine. Transmission. Let's go ahead and pick up Spontaneous Awakening because I want to see what happens. Algae Awaken in 2 more places. Wow, very expensive, though. Very expensive. All right. Well, let's go for Host Honing. That leads to Strenuous Honing. Put stress on their DNA structures in order to multiply faster, increases infectivity and mutation chance. Meh. Minor Host Control, increases land transmission and infectivity. These are getting a little on the expensive side, but I like them. But they are getting expensive. Let's take a look at some more symptoms instead first. Do we go for itchiness? For the urban environments? Sure, we do that. Strands, not very noticeable. Sure, it's very cheap. That'll lead to longer strands. Oh, good. We went from strands to longer strands, and the next one will be even longer strands. Slightly noticeable, but increases infectivity for only 4 points. I like that deal. Nope, not longer, even longer. It's just pronged strands. Travel further, but cause irritation to the host. 6 points for a lot of infectivity and a little severity. Sure, we'll go for that. Why not? All right, fine. Walking creatures is extremely noticeable. We'll do it. That will lead to sharp tendrils. Now uses weapons. Okay, this is where we get some lethality. So presumably we want to kill everybody. I don't see any evidence of multiple victory conditions, although I'm sure if I am wrong, people will crucify me in the comment section about that. Do we go for a little lethality? Well, let's see. How's the cure progress looking? Not a lot of people working on it yet, so why not? Well, let's not rock the boat. Don't rock the boat, baby. Somewhat noticeable for planes. Yes, we'll do that. Mishap, harder to study, seems okay, and that will lead to warped planes, increases resistances, and cells are harder to study. We know how much I love that. That will be sufficient. Thank you. Let's just sit back now. Sharp tendrils developed for free, so now we're killing people whether I meant to or not. We're still missing Cuba and New Guinea and Greenland. China is beginning to break down already, despite the fact that very few people are in fact dead. This will lead to jawed claws. Sharp prongs were not enough, but claws with jaws. Claws with jaws. Okay, now those should do. I kind of like the writing style of this. I'm finding it very amusing. All right. Well, any of these seem really important? I guess we could go for the land transmission, but that's not... No, the land transmission is not really important to me. Let's go for drug resistance level 2. I don't feel like we need to dilute anything because the cure progress is still so unnoticeable. No, wait, there goes Greenland. Okay, so we're missing just a few more places. If we need to pop that awakening, spontaneous awakening, we will be able to do that. But mostly New Guinea is the only one that I'm feeling very worried about. Do we go for some cold resistance? Yes, because I'm really having a hard time there, so let's do it. A little bit more cold resistance will be good. Mutations are not important to me. Oh, come on, New Guinea. Get a boat out to New Guinea. Winged blobs developed for free. Okay. Well, now we have walking, worm-flying blobs. Wing stability. Organisms perfect the form of wings. I don't know if that's important. We also have animalistic instincts. Organisms lunge at and attack any humans that notice them. Do we go for the spontaneous awakening 2? How many places are left? Actually, only 2. So yeah, we have 109 points. Let's just do a spontaneous awakening. That should fix my problems, yeah? And then we could just increase some lethality and let them all die? It didn't get New Guinea. Wait a minute. I thought the whole point was that you were supposed to get New Guinea. Why didn't you... Alright, strenuous hosting. That leads to spontaneous awakening. Causes 3 more awakenings and makes other algae more likely to be influenced by mutation. Very expensive. Jawed claws developed for free. There are no more boats really sailing around. Like, nothing's gonna get to the Philippines. We have to try this. Let's see what happens. Strength Control Awakening unlocks doors to hidden genes? Oh yeah, let's do that. That leads to... all remaining countries awaken. Okay, if all else fails, we will be able to do that. There goes New Guinea. Okay. Okay, now we're cooking with some gas. Aerosail. Cells now have the ability to sail through the air for extremely long amounts of time, almost to the point of being able to fly, despite the fact that they are, in fact, called winged blobs. And they have, in fact, perfected the ability to fly on their own. Okay. Liquidation. Cells become much more adapted to the water and are able to thrive, both with and without it. This does not seem important to me. Infectiveness is already maxed out. I don't want to increase my lethality, otherwise I'll be killing too fast in New Guinea. But we do want to be killing people a little bit faster here. So why don't we go ahead and pick up a round of dilute cell density, and we'll pick up some DNA shuffles. That'll lead to DNA shuffle 2, ruining study efforts even further. We're just buying ourselves some points right now. Animalistic instincts mutated for free. Okay, I'm just watching New Guinea and making sure that we hit critical mass pretty quickly, which we did. All right, excellent. So let's go ahead and get some more lethality. Lone Predator. The organisms learn the weaknesses of all the species that pose as a potential threat to their existence and proceed to eliminate them. Lots of lethality. I like it. Or Aerial Predators. The organisms become masters of the sky and learn better ways to kill other people. Let's go for Lone Predator and Aerial Predators. And do we go for air dominance for fun? Sure. What's the ultimate ability here? Sentience. The organisms and cells are now able to think and act for themselves. I want that. I'm not sure what it'll do for us because we're killing really quickly, but I'm curious. So let's go for the sentience and see if that does a dang thing. Able to think and act for themselves. I don't think this would be a victory condition. Surely not. Sudan and Anarchy. We have a lot of points. Let's go ahead and pick up the GNA reshuffle. Apparently we're missing some requirements to get to some of these things, though. Being. Wait, no, maybe... Oh, wait. No, I did. It was a victory condition. Congratulations, you've managed to eradicate humanity and doom their bodies to use as nutrients for the sentient algae. What will happen next? Will the algae reign forever, or will another species rise up and overthrow them? It's up to you to decide in the next rendition. Thanks for playing. There's gonna be a sequel? Interesting. So that is the end. We didn't actually have to kill everybody, although I kind of assumed he would. Instead, we reached sentience, and now they're just going to eat everyone who was infected. Algium now rule the world. Interesting. All right, well, we got 2 out of 3 stars there. Huh. Yeah, okay, I guess it kind of makes sense. I was kind of wondering if they were going to go in that direction just based on how many different, like, organism developments were allowed. But I didn't expect that to be a victory condition, so it's fine. I guess we did manage to check that one out. we had so much lethality it wouldn't have mattered. We probably would have only added an extra, like, 30 days if we hadn't taken it. I just might have rushed it had I known there was a little bit of a... if there was another option to us. But whatever. It's fine. That was pretty quick. 2 to 3 stars is reasonable. Got a complex genetic complexity. Yeah, I mean, it was good. It was good. I liked that. That was pretty decent. Yes, thank you. That was fun. Well done. Well done, guys. Alright, well... that is going to have to be enough for this video. I do hope you enjoyed Algium. It was pretty well put together, I think. The descriptions were not only grammatically correct, but also fairly helpful in understanding the direction that we were going. There was no ambiguity, which I always like, and I hope you do too. Be sure to leave a comment suggesting what kind of plagues I ought to take a look at next time. I'm going to probably record one more, and then I'll rely on your comments from here on out. And, yeah, subscribe, of course, for more content. My name has been Pravus, and I will see you guys next time.